As I said, as you guys walked into the room, how we move throughout our body is how we experience our life. And ultimately, that's going to determine what becomes possible for us. Welcome to O&M in Motion, teaching movement skills from infancy to adulthood. We have a great presentation ready for you today. Um, Today, you will get the experience of having four unique perspectives that are going to offer you 21st century strategies for increasing movement skills without overextending yourself or doing more work, which love that for us. Jeremy, you're here. Can you put in the chat? Can you say hi in the chat, Jeremy? Because I do not have you. Whether you have never thought about how these skills manifest or you've been in the field for 30 years and maybe you've seen it all, you're going to learn something new today. And I want to broaden your horizons on what's possible because the principles of these strategies are going to explain not just what to do, but also let you see how it can be done immediately. And yes, of course, at the very end, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the O&M Symposium. If you're not familiar, a lot of you guys are already joining us. We have over 350 people already signed up, but we don't even need to get into that right now. We are going to just deliver and give you the skills and the strategies that you need. For our O&Ms who do take action, they get to experience a world way beyond these 60 minutes and actually get their eyes opened. They get a big community. Julie said that the O&M Online Symposium is such a great way to learn and collaborate with so many other O&Mers, and I could not agree more. If I go this way, you're here for motor development today, but I want to open your eyes to the idea that what's going on in our field is so much more than just motor development. I'm going to ask all of you guys to mute yourselves. Thank you. And I'm not going to allow you to unmute because 78% of teachers have thought about quitting since the pandemic, and that's a staggering amount. And it's not unlike us because there's so many new things going on. It's not that we don't love teaching, it's that we are overwhelmed with huge caseloads, and work keeps creeping into our nights and our weekends. And maybe you face these other things as well, that your student progress feels like it's not going as fast as it should. Maybe you've tried everything and you're still tired. Most overwhelmed O&M specialists aren't struggling because they're doing anything wrong. It's that the system has changed. We are still doing things that we were taught to do a long time ago, and they're just not working anymore. And maybe they're working in pieces, but not all the way. Because our caseloads are bigger, who O&M is taught to has widened exponentially. Our environments have gotten crazy complex. Our students are more complex, and our admins keep expecting more from us. So it's not about doing more. It's about creating a system that actually supports your teaching and allows you to increase your students' skills beyond motor development while still having a great personal life, good mental health, and being able to stay in this field as long as you possibly can. Because when you can have those systems, your skills grow, your students grow, and teaching becomes fun again. And at least, if not fun, not as much of an uphill battle. But the last thing that you need is more on your plate. So, what I like to focus on are the elements of exceptional education. Exceptional education is the only way to increase your students' skills while still decreasing your stress. For me, it's allowed me to get out of overwhelm, to show up consistently for my learners, and to be a better mom to my children. And it's also allowed me to have better mental, physical, and emotional health. I love going salsa dancing, and it's something that if I didn't have these systems in place, I wouldn't be able to do. Providing an exceptional education is a non-negotiable at this point. So then the question becomes, We're here for motor development, but how do we do this? We know that the days of teaching the way that things are, because that's the way that things are going to be, are over. 21st century teaching strategies are what we need to be teaching because we don't know what's coming down the pipe. 3 years ago, you probably didn't know that you needed to become a prompt engineer to do your job. I didn't even know what a prompt engineer was. And honestly, I'm not fully in with it. I will be after the symposium because Paige is going to teach me. But right now, I'm still struggling with that aspect. And I know that my learners really need all of the skills that are coming down the pipe so that they can become better as adults. And if I'm not giving that to them, then I'm struggling and they are struggling. But even if I am, I can't light the flame of the next generation if I'm burned out. And so many of us continue to struggle with that because we don't have systems that allow us to go home on time. So, what I want you to also focus on is doing things in a way that allows you to have that work life balance. If you're here with us live, there are so many of us in the room, and I'm so excited about that. You're doing that right now. And I know that you are here taking time outside of work, but what you're actually doing is putting time in to a little time bank, and then later you're going to get that time back tenfold. And that's exactly what we do here at the Society and within all of our programming, including the symposium. Now, the big kicker that we are here in Zoom meeting with the chat open for everybody. So I want you to use it because having a community is going to give you that upper edge. If you think about it, your students wouldn't be able to just take one lesson and run off and do the things. They have to have that feedback. And that's where community comes in. So please make friends in the chat. I will be pulling the questions from the chat, so you don't need to worry about that, and DM your friends, say hello, come into our app, you guys, and like actually connect with one another because it is about your mental health. It is about having community around you. Some of you guys have gotten my text when I've had a bad day, when I've got bit, and I know that I can rely on you guys because I build that community. Now, our presenters are proof of what's possible. If knowing exactly what 3 areas to focus on doesn't cut it for you, maybe this will. We've got Leandra Otmo, who is so fantastic. She's a comms, TVI, and adapted physical education consultant. She's absolutely amazing working with all ages, but she's going to be presenting on ECI today. Jeremy Hill, who I did just see in the room, he's a certified orientation and mobility specialist popping in from tomorrow. It is Wednesday for him. He works for Guide Dogs Queensland in Australia, and he's currently the principal advisor for access and engagement. This bio doesn't actually like explain all the great leadership things he does and how big of a deal this man is. If you're not in Australia, you may not know, but he's incredible. Jen Reeder is a comms, TBI, and learning behavior specialist. She's also a mom of a toddler. How she does all this, we don't know, but she always comes up with amazing ideas. And she has just such a fun way of looking at all of the strategies we're going to be diving into today. And Rebecca Singleton is a comms certified low vision therapist and TVI. She's going to be teaching us how to work with adults and sharing like a really cool way that I've never really thought of. And if you're thinking, man, these people have a lot of degrees and a lot of accolades, they do. And I'm just so grateful to get to be able to work with them on the O&M Symposium Planning Committee. Our Oh yeah, and then there's me. I completely forgot about me. Whatever. Hi, I'm Cassie. If you don't know me, I've been around for a while. I've been in the field for about 17 years, 20 years, including school. And this is my dream to be able to have these conversations with you and move our profession forward. So, as you pay attention to all of these strategies today, I want you to listen for the very last one. And I want you to start thinking about how can I implement this? Because at the very end of our time, I'm going to ask you what you're going to implement. And I want you to respond back. Can you have a copy of the PowerPoint? Yeah, I can try to make a copy of the PowerPoint for you guys. Let me talk with the the team first and make sure with our presenters. I'll take out the pictures of kids though. Okay, so we're on motor development. And before we get into our presenters, let's dive into the science of motor development. This is what I had my master's degree in, and I'm endlessly fascinated by it. The pyramid of learning, if you haven't seen it from me before, get used to it because I just this is how I think. What we look at is the very top of a glacier. And what you're looking at right now is an image of a glacier. And at the top is this cognition and intellect. That's our academic learning. That's our daily living skills, which is typically where our motor patterns, right, are demonstrated. And then there's a behavior. And that's often where we think that learning happens and that learning is exhibited. But especially with motor development, it's everything underneath the surface. So this image is adapted from the works in How Does Your Engine Run? It's an OT book. And I made it into a glacier because to me, motor development is multi-causal. You're not going to see any part of the body move until all of the ligaments are fully formed, until all of the muscles are fully formed, until your brain is connecting to all of it. It all has to work in unison for you to see what's above. And oftentimes we just see what's above and we don't know where down below to look. So today I want you to be thinking about when you see these strategies, okay, these are great strategies and these are fun activities. And how can I take them and like diagnose my learner and see, okay, what skills are you exhibiting? What skills are you exhibiting because you're I had the word. Oh, what's the word, you guys? Like what when you do something, mm, compensating. What was about to come out was not that word, but our students often compensate. And what we know from science, granted from the 1990s, we need our researchers to do more, please, is that children with visual impairments, motor development is actually parallel to those without visual impairments until about 4 to 6 months of age. And then they start to lag due to lack of motivation to move. Now, I'm not saying that babies don't have a desire to move, but when you look at motivation and where it comes from, it makes sense because this is science, right? And then we're looking at, okay, how do we take the science and bring it into actual strategies? And that's what we're doing. When we look at motivation, it specifically, whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic motivation, they serve the same purpose. It strives to maximize reward, which is getting what you want, and minimizing punishment, which is getting hurt. So at 4 to 6 months of age, our babies are starting to reach outside of their little sphere. And then the question becomes, okay, as they're aging, right? How can I get my young learners to increase the reward and decrease the pain, the punishment? Now, it's not actual punishment, it's just scientifically worded punishment. So we're going to go into that era with Leandra, and then we'll take it step by step and go throughout the lifespan all the way to adulthood when we're not trying to gain more skills. We're then trying to still maximize reward, but now your main focus is minimizing punishment, the risks of falls, increasing balance, and things of that nature. So make sure that you stay paying attention all the way to the end. Miss Leandra, are you about ready for us? Yes, you are. Okay. I'm going to make you co-host, and I'm also going to spotlight you. for everyone. Perfect. Right, whenever you're ready. You are muted. You're muted. Oh, you can't unmute yourself. Even if, oh, it's not letting me make you a co-host.
Okay. I was able to unmute myself.
Thank you.
Okay. Finally. So hello. I'm here to talk about babies. Everybody thinks that, well, let me say this. People that I'm familiar with, babies scare them. I love babies. So that's why I was like, oh, let me take on this opportunity. So motivating a baby can be really hard because they don't know what they need to be motivated to do. So I, as a TBI and O&M, you go into these houses when they're with the early childhood intervention program, and when I first started this, it's like bring this huge bag of toys with me and everything to try to get these babies to move. Well, it did not take long for me to realize that the things in their house are motivating them more than anything I bring because that's what they are around at all times. So I've kind of, blocked this into three different little areas. We have to motivate our kiddos to use a simple gesture to make toys move or make toys activate. Then we have to motivate them to start moving themselves to the toys or to the objects, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be toys. And that's what I'm going to show you here in a minute. Not everything has to be a toy to be able to motivate a kiddo. And then we've got to motivate these kiddos to activate or play with bigger items that make the kid's body move in itself. And so when we have all these skills as infancy, then that leads up to the crawling and the walking and motivating them to move further. So these first pictures that I have, these are the pictures that help motivate the kiddos uh, with the toys. Wait, no, not that picture. That one's yeah, that's all right. Sorry. Sorry. Uh, okay. So all of these pictures, these toys make different sounds. And it takes a lot to be able to figure out what sounds the kiddos like and what they don't like. So in this very first picture where we have three different little musical instruments, we've got, the keyboards, the little guitar, these three specific musical instruments are from one student and he plays with whichever toy he wants at that time. Some days we want to play with the blue one, some days we want to play with the green one, and it just depends on his mood. But back to motivating them to actually move. So when we're little bitty 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 bitty, we have to push the keys on the keyboard or anything like that to make the sounds because the kiddos don't know that these toys are making sounds. So we're pushing them, waiting for the kid to pay attention that hey, something's going on. I want to, and so then you stop, and it's that whole cause and effect thing where I'm going to push, 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 I'm going to stop, and then we just try to see a reaction from our kiddo for us to play the music again. And then we lead to you push the button. So and just like with the tambourines or the toothbrushes, the buttons, all of this, they all make different noises. We have to get our kiddos to want to be interested in all of the noises, but they don't necessarily have to like them. They get to pick and choose. They get their own options. And so that's what like this big group of toys are. And what I'm another thing that I'm trying to show you is like these aren't all educational toys. These are things that are just in the house. Like, I mean, nobody like I don't go as a teacher. I never thought about going and buying a Grinch doll that has a fan on it so the kiddo can listen to the fan. And like those kind of toys, I have a certain student that that's what she wants to do. Like she has all these different kinds of toys that have little fans on them, and she knows the difference. Like the toothbrushes, they're little vibrating toothbrushes. Every toothbrush makes a different noise. And one student will pick one up, turn it on, listen. Nope, that's not the right one. Pick it up, listen. That's not the right one. So every time we're doing this, they're moving, they're working their body, they're trying. And then sometimes you have toys that they don't want to listen that you're activating to try to get their attention. And that's going to eventually cause them to try to get away from the toy. They're going to get frustrated. And we know sometimes we just have to get to that frustration level before we make it change. And that's okay. Um, and then we have some more toys where, like, of course, all of these toys can be triggered by an action of us pushing a button, them pushing a button, something like that. So all of these toys, when we start out as baby, using these as toys with babies, they keep growing with them. We're not just tossing these out because they're not age appropriate anymore. We're going to continue to let them use them as long as they want to use them and as long as they can. So then we have to think about, well, what can we do to motivate these kiddos to move to the toys? So yeah, they push those buttons, they're playing the keyboard, they're turning the toothbrush on and off. But now we've got to scoot away a little bit. And we've got to try to get them to move to us. So that's rolling, crawling, walking eventually. That's great. But they've got to have that motivation. And like I've learned in the situations where I've taught, it's a lot easier for me to play with the toys that they have at home rather than bringing all this stuff in that they don't know what it is. Now, I'll bring stuff in and I'll leave something there and tell mom or dad, like, hey, start using this. Try to get her familiar with this. So that maybe, we can work just like the switches. I mean, there's a lot of kiddos in our schools that use switches to communicate. So if we start by using that switch with the horse that makes the horse sound or the cow sound or anything like that, there's that motion that they're getting um, to be ready to advance on to different skills so that they could possibly use the AAC device. And then the last thing is just motivating our kids to play with things where their whole body moves. So that's going to be our bigger toys, like something as simple as the a vibrating foot pad where the kiddo is activating it and they are going to like activate it and their foot's going to bounce in. And a lot of times, do you think that kiddo is going to use their feet to do this? No, they're going to put their hands on it, put their head on it, sit on it, all kinds of stuff. They're just going to use those different motions and stuff to try to make their body move.
Like let your body work through it, okay?
And then we also have like the little spinny chairs, like the ones that you sit on. There's several different ones now. And I've noticed in a lot of our life skills classrooms, we're putting these chairs in these classrooms for all of our kids to use to get that vestibular motion. And they want to spin and a lot of kiddos flip the seats over and play with them. I mean, it's just, whatever we need to do, whatever the kiddos are doing to try to motivate themselves to move, that's what we're letting them do. We're making sure they're safe when they're doing it, but that we are letting them use their body to move. They'll sit on it and spin. They'll just spin the chair. There's so many different ways to be able to there's so many ways for these kiddos to move themselves to play with all of these items. And so these things kind of grow with them and still like they go into the classrooms with them when they're at home, after they go home, they're at home, they have these things. As a TVI and O&M, I'm seeing, hey, she really likes this at home. So I'm going to do what I can to try to get that into a classroom. Because when they start into that classroom, they need something familiar and comfortable there too. Sometimes we're all that they have that they're familiar with when they go into a Head Start program or into a preschool program for children with disabilities or anything. So I know I might not have really told you anything you didn't already know. You don't always have to go out and buy the biggest, fanciest things. Any little toys will work. Anything they have at home will work. It's just what their interest is, what we have to, and it's just simply pulling things out. Like have a gajillion things ready for that 30-minute lesson, that 20-minute lesson. Have a lot of things ready because, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but my moods change by the day too, and so do theirs. Someday we want to play with this little um slinky. Some days we don't. Someday we want to play with a little bouncy bobble ball that runs away from us. Sometimes we don't. So, I don't know. Let's just hope that you know just kind of keep in your arsenal. We got to have a lot of different options. We've got to know that frustration levels are going to get high with those kiddos when they can't push the button hard enough. And so we're teaching all those different motor skills, fine and gross, to be able to get our kiddos to activate all these different toys and then just using their own bodies to help. Um, Move and create a fun time. Do you modify with battery interrupters?
I'll read it. So
Okay.
the question in the chat says,
Mhm.
mod with battery interrupters, or do you lean on OT or AT to provide switches, etc.?
So me technically, I work in a very I work in a special ed co-op. So there's one TVI, one O&M. Those are both me. We have one OT, one PT. We're all in the same building. We work very closely, and so we kind of just lean upon each other. Yes, we do use battery interrupters for some things. I still have some of the really old school um boxes from one of the kids through APH. I can't even think of it right now, but the big blue boxes through APH where you plug a toy in and use switches for that. We have fans. There's so many toys now though that you can get that are motion activated, touch activated. Yes, the sensory learning kit. Yes. So yeah, we do work a lot with each other to try to go ahead and get a lot of the toys activated. But luckily we're in the time and the age where so many of these toys you buy them already ready to be, activated by little hands.
Yeah. Um, Jax is asking, do you encourage Lily Nielsen's active learning program and use of little rooms or etc.?
Yeah, I love a little room. My teachers don't love it as much because they do take up, you know, they're not real little sometimes. So they do take up a little bit of room. But yeah, I've had them in houses and let my kiddos play with it. And then like that was one of the main things that I would transition from home into the school is their personal little room. So yeah, I love both of them. I love Lily Nelson's active learning program and um, just like I said, anything to try to get these kiddos moving. So
Oh yeah, Rebecca's writing to you that
yeah.
motivates them to move and getting parents to work with them during daily routines. Great take always.
hmm
Um, okay, you guys, we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
Any other
Thank
questions
you.
for Leandra? We can circle back around to those. Thank you, Leandra.
Thank you.
Let's get Jeremy up here. Jeremy, I'm going to ask you to unmute and then I'm going to replace the spotlight. Hello, my friend. Oh, there were so many more pictures that I didn't even get to. All right, sir, take it away and I'll follow you.
Okay, so when Cassie was suggesting to us we want to talk about motor skills, I've spent about 35 years working with people who have vision impairment due to strokes or due to some sort of event that's happened in the brain. And I thought it's really important to bring in how very important motor skills are for vision impairment. So I thought I'd talk about a case study called Susie. I'm going to call her Susie because her name's not really Susie, but I'm going to call her Susie. Now, I'm probably talking to the converted. You probably all know about hemianopia vision loss, but I'm going to talk about it from the roots up because the whole point about hemianopia vision loss is when you have a hemianopia from an adult or a child, the brain is very much tricked into realizing what it sees. And when the vision is either on the left or the right, the brain tends to go down the middle of what it can see. You're also dealing with children or adults who have very clear vision. They have no issues with what they can actually see. The whole point is, though, is that vision's either on one side or the other. So little Susie, she has what's called a right hemianopia. And the right hemianopia means the whole world is on the right-hand side, of course. The other thing about the right hemianopia, it occurs because you have a stroke or a occlusion on the left-hand side of the brain, which is very much connected with spatiality and that sort of thing too. So when I first met Susie at school, the teachers said, well, you know what I'm saying. When you do orientation and mobility, very much it's like take Susie outside and teach her how to be orientated to the school and how to get around the school and that sort of thing. We already knew that on her right-hand side, she was bumping into objects, she was tripping over things, all those sort of things. And I actually went to the trouble of talking to the teacher. I talked to the teacher and said, what do you notice about Susie? And she said, well, when I put things on the board, she misses everything on the right-hand side. She misses things on the whiteboard. She misses things on her tabletop. She also turns herself very carefully to a side so she can see more on her right-hand side. And so what I did, which is where O&M mixes and intricately joins up with what the teacher was doing, is looking at how we can improve her static scanning, first of all. Now, static scanning is when she's sitting at her desk and she's looking at what's on the desk or looking at what's on the whiteboard, and she's actually using a motor skill to enable an amount of turning to her right-hand side. So first of all, the first thing we do is say to Susie, turn your head to the right-hand side. Sounds silly, sounds easy, but that's the only way of overcoming the brain thinking that the whole wide world is on the one particular side. So by turning the head before she looked at the board and looking at the board, she started to even say, I'm just starting to notice more on the whiteboard. And then the teacher put really high fluoro strips down both sides of the board, which actually a couple of students actually mentioned. Actually, I find it easy to look at it now because it's actually making it more visual. So what we've got here on the whiteboard on our PowerPoint at the moment is suggesting the class whiteboard have a high contrast tape down both sides of it, which doesn't hurt anybody. Everybody finds it easier. Tabletop exercises. So we was first of all we got I have in Australia what we call bananagrams. They're just like Scrabble letters, and you chuck them all over the table. And Susie was looking for particular letters and found it quite fun actually. But surprise, surprise, she found everything on the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side. So we've spent probably about 2 or 3 terms working on this. Then I find one of my best tools is a laser pointer. A laser pointer is really good. You can point at the whiteboard and then say close your eyes or open your eyes and look for wherever that red dot is pointed around the whole whiteboard. The other thing is an L-shaped guide, which is really good. So you can put it down the right-hand side in Susie's state, and it means not only defines the line she's trying to read, but also where the margin is. So we haven't even started orientation mobility yet. I'm actually just using my O&M skills to help the teacher, and she's going, these skills are also good because Susie's actually starting to see things on the board. She's starting to see things around her. She's starting to actually not bump into things around the classroom as she's walking around because we're using a motor skill. The next step of all this is I said to Susie, what do you find difficult outside? And she said, well, when we play ball games, she really wants to do ball games, or she's also walking into things as well. And it's developing the sense that before you put your right foot or your left foot forward, it's actually scanning to the right-hand side. When you scan to the right-hand side, so your chin is actually touching your shoulder, it's bringing things straight into her awareness, and it becomes now a dynamic skill where she's actually not even thinking about what she's doing anymore because Jeremy's taught her, or that everyone's encouraging her to take that chin and put it to the side. Having worked with adults, I've seen people eat one half of the side of the plate. I've seen people cross the road and go, yeah, it looks okay to me. So they cross the road, there's a car coming from the left-hand side. So softball activities is actually quite impossible for someone with a heminopia to actually adjust that quickly to kids throwing things from the side that she cannot actually see anything. So we thought, right, what are we going to do? So we put a little armband around her arm, which all her peers now know not to throw from her right-hand side. And if they're going to throw a ball to her, always throw to the left-hand side. And we've encouraged all staff and aides to do the same old thing. And that's really worked really well. So now she's integrated into softball activities. Having a ball that has a bell in it, we tried, but the trouble with the ball with a bell inside it means the only time you hear it is when it actually hits you. So that's completely pointless, really. So it was all about giving her a chance to be able to see things on the side she can see. Then another activity you can see on the table here is hiding different coloured markers all around the school. And the fascinating thing was, I actually tried it with her best friend who's fully sighted, and Susie was actually faster than the friend. So it's all about developing quick, actual, fast visual skills to overcome and encourage her to overcome the vision impairment on her right-hand side. The thing now in Australia, though, in Queensland where I work, is that all the skills are taught within the school. And as you know, most kids get very quick at learning about skills within the school. I know very, very, very much with people with very low vision, they can get around school because they know exactly how far everything is. So my next step now is to move into taking all these skills we've learned in school to outside the school. And so we're going to start to learn how to cross roads, learn how to navigate busy environments, making sure we're encouraging the parents, as we've done with the teachers, to encourage the skills, and also allowing an opportunity for her to get around really busy environments. And so I'm very, very confident that she'll learn those skills. And thank you very much for this opportunity.
That's so great. Thank you so much, Jeremy. We've got some comments in the chat saying that the armband is a great idea. I also agree. And that the laser pointer is in the Amazon cart already. Love that. If you guys have any questions for Jeremy, you can put them in here pretty quickly before we head on. But
I think laser pointers are absolutely brilliant. They're so good for, when you're still waiting for an optometrist and ophthalmologist to give you a field check. I use we call them in Australia, I think we call them markers. Yeah, the different markers for using sport and that sort of thing. And you get them to look at the teacher. This is what this is what really worked with the teachers. I said, I want Susie to look at the teacher, and they have to keep the teacher in the visual scope. And then meanwhile, I'm sneaking in from the side and putting in markers left, right, and center as I go. And they suddenly thought, my goodness, she cannot see anything on the right-hand side at all. And I thought, that's it. That's the scope we're working with. It's not a low vision. It's not a blurry vision. It's not a pinhole vision. It's not tunnel vision. It's actually the brain has actually adjusted to only seeing one side of the world. And that's really important with these sort of kids.
I think that's a little different than we're taught how to do it, at least here in the United States. So I'm glad that you bring it up, Jeremy, because we're taught to use like one marker and
Yeah.
then check the scope right here, but you took a bunch of markers. And I think that adding that level of complexity to it, because that level of complexity is their real life, really
Mm-hmm.
gives you a good sense of like, okay, what are we actually looking at here? Thank you so much. Oh, I just love learning from you. You have such a great way of presenting.
Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you for being here and for volunteering for this. Jen, you are up. Let me grab your slides as well. I'm gonna replace your spotlight.
Great.
We're not going to adults right now, you guys, but my slides are just gonna say that just so that I can get Jen's slides up. We have adolescence here. Actually, I'm gonna do it this way. I like it better. Presenting in Canva, not so bad. I kind of like it. It's it's been a really easy adjustment. Oh,
Hey, you're good. So I'll just kind of get started while you're pulling that up, if that's okay. Um,
absolutely.
so I'm going to be focusing on kind of two challenges that I've faced so far throughout my career, but like really easy solutions for them. So the first one is just trying to find ways to enhance the experiences of my students with visual impairments, whether that's they're going on a field trip, a community-based outing, like a unit that they have in PE. And then another one is just making their experiences in PE or gym class just better and for them to be able to participate a little bit more. Where I work, we do have, adapted PE for some students. Not all students qualify. So I find that actually some of my O&M support will come in at times with students where I actually push into PE class or I'm consulting a lot. So I'm going to share about that. So we're going to hit the next slide. We're going to get right into it.
Already, the next slide.
Yep. Awesome. So for enhancing these experiences, on the screen, I have a picture of a student who is using just like the Wheatley map making kit. And she is actually tracking where she thinks the puck is and the action on the ice. I took a few students to, it's called the Peoria Rivermen. So I actually teach where the first long white cane was invented, Peoria, Illinois. So we have a hockey team there. And so I was having her kind of follow along with where the action is on the ice. We also have a picture of sports courts. That's kind of newer through American Printing House for the Blind. It has lots of different courts that are made up into tactile maps. So I have a picture of the one actually from APH and then just how I made it and replicated it for the hockey game. So for that, I just wanted to say, if you're going to even a soccer game with your students, have them explore a soccer ball, show them how it feels. Is it soft? Is it hard? What kind of equipment are these players using? So I had a hockey puck and I was a figure skater my whole life. So I had my students feel, the sharp blade, right? And the boots and how do you lace that up? And we can go to the next one as well. So another thing I've done is in some of my students' classes, they use a curriculum called like News to You. A lot of students are going on community-based outings. So the top left, I have a picture of my students participating in like a yoga lesson. I don't know much about yoga, but I posted on my Facebook, and somebody that I knew actually was a yoga instructor. So you bet I had her come in instead of me teaching it. But just by doing that, they got to meet somebody else in the community. People in the community got to meet our students with visual impairments, and then they actually got to learn a little bit better than me teaching them the yoga. And then on the right, there's a picture of a player from the Peoria Rivermen. I just reached out to the team. I used to be their MC and ice girl in another life, but they actually came and met with our students. They brought their hockey pucks and their jerseys and their sticks. You'll see a student who is, using that, feeling the stick. In the middle, I have a picture of Medi Teddy. I took a yoga class a while back, because as Cassie mentioned, there's some teacher burnout. So my district offered a free yoga class. My colleague and I took it, she was also a teacher of the visually impaired, and the instructor was using Medi Teddy. And at the time, I was really struggling with teaching my students who were, completely blind how to do push-ups, how to do sit-ups, without me like almost feeling like I was like fully manipulating their body or having them touch parts of my body, which I didn't care. But I realized that like that's not really the best, ideal situation. So Medi Teddy is really nice. I was using like Batman figurines and anything I could find, but you're able to fully like mold and bend the arms, the legs, and put them in all different positions. So I ordered a few of those, and like I actually just keep them with the PE teachers now, so that they can demonstrate any sort of positions. Sometimes my students have like little stations, and one happens to be a yoga station. So that's a really, really good product that I have used quite a lot, actually. We can go to the next slide.
They actually have one. Like my kids
Yeah,
have it. It
I
is.
always see it like in the background of your in your room.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes along with that sports court, but just enhancing those experiences. I really started using this American Printing House for the Blind tactile graphics library probably within the last year. And I don't know how long it's been around, but my gosh, it is so nice. So hopefully, yeah, and anyone asking questions, I'll share these links in the chat when I'm done. Um, but you just have to make an account. It's completely free. What I like about it is I can request new graphics. So like if I know that a student is going to be going to, a certain community-based outing, I can actually ask them to make a graphic for that. And then I just shoot it through my embosser. I'm also a teacher of the visually impaired, so I do a little more of the adapting. But within the graphics library, there's actually a folder specifically for orientation and mobility. We love that. And then there's like a smaller folder for sports courts and fields. So I'm going to show you a picture of that in just a moment. But I do want to say too, like I understand that not all of our students have great tactile skills, but I still think it's great to expose them to what these graphics are, but pair it with other objects, right? So like I said, if you're going to have, a tactile graphic of like, a baseball field, right? Like make sure that you have, what does the grass feel like? What does the sand feel like? Maybe the texture of a base, bring the baseball, a bat, things like that. You can go ahead, Cassie. Thank you. So here is a picture of just some of the options that are within the sports piece there. So there's like a football, there's an American football field, a baseball, a basketball goal, bicycle. So yeah, I highly recommend using this. It's free. Check it out. It just took a little bit, like just a few questions to make my account, but I save it to my bookmarks bar. I use it even just as a vision teacher. I was having a student write a story today, and he was talking about sharks and dinosaurs. So I embossed those real quick. He colored them. It was great. Go ahead.
That's so cool.
All right, so I'm sure that y'all have heard of portable sound sources before. Um, the student that I'm kind of talking about right now, it was a unique situation. He never got early intervention. I think the ball was dropped in a few places, but it was also kind of during COVID. So he actually came to me right when he entered kindergarten. So as you guys can imagine, like we did not have all the skills that we should have had at that point. So right now he is in second grade, but I'm still finding that I have to use a portable sound source with him to, locate his spot in PE, but I'm excited to say like the progression of that. I've been able to kind of pull it away. So the first picture, I actually have like a large cone that the PE teacher provided. So hopefully, those people can do that for you. But I attached a portable sound source to it, and then my student actually kind of like parks his cane in that. So he actually does not have a folding cane. Um, he can't quite handle it yet. So he likes to fidget with it a lot, and I don't want him to pinch his fingers. So that's the next step for him. But then, like, he's able to locate his spot. I usually keep the remote on my pot in my pocket or on my pants. But what's nice is when I'm not there, because I'm not always in his PE class, the PE teacher has learned how to do this. I would recommend if you do use the specific one from American Printing House, get a lot of batteries because they run out and you don't want the PE teacher to have to feel like they have to refill that. So then the third picture is my student using the cone, parking his cane in there without the portable sound source. And because our students usually get assigned spots in the gym, so he's able to locate it this way. You can go to the next slide. So sadly, American Printing House has discontinued their portable sound sources. They do still sell the remote if you need a remote. But because of that, I wanted to kind of give you guys like some other alternatives for that. If you are able to order through American Printing House for the blind, they do have like their beat balls, those like they're called like the boing boing balls. I have used that with students. The only downfall is like I mean, you could use it as your sound source, but you have to be like holding it or putting it specifically where you want, and you have to, turn it on and off with your fingers. So there's not really like a remote. Um, then I have a picture of like just, I have these, they're just like, they're really for keys. It's basically like a really basic Apple AirTag, but I hook up this little keychain into like Easter eggs. You could hook it up to just anything that you want the student to find in their classroom or in PE. But the other idea I think was really lovely. One of my students, her mom is actually a TVI as well. And the student has multiple disabilities, and her mom actually brought this idea up to me of just using like a little like doorbell that you can get on Amazon because it's repositionable. I didn't say that right. And you can basically just put the doorbell anywhere, and then you can adjust the position of it. And the doorbells are louder than those simple little keychains that I put in the middle. So that would be a great option. I don't know how loud those are going to be though in a gym. So I do like to use the portable sound source there. I did add some pictures. I had a little student who was learning how to use his long white cane. He didn't really want to work with me, but I brought my like little squeakers. So I have different high contrast colored squeakers that, I can push down with my feet or with my hands. The students like to jump on them, but he was able to locate them based on like when I was squeaking it with my foot. And then he enjoyed, trying to push down on it with his cane and then jumping on it once he found it. So it's kind of, and then you can even use them for obstacle courses. I've used them in all sorts of ways. I've even lined them up and like in basically like a cross for like compass directions. And I'm like, okay, jump on north, jump on south, things like that. And then just a picture of my student using his ball with bells in it, I think from Gopher Sports, and finding his net with the portable sound source. So hopefully those are some things that you guys can quickly do. In the middle, this was something my kids thought of. My student who is blind, he is in the back and he wanted to use his cane for this one activity. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to take it away from you. But his peer there, he's actually holding on to the student's cane and like pulling him. And they were going towards the sound source that I put like in a little basket. But I just thought that was so cool. It was almost like a form of human guide, but with their scooters. So it's just cool what the kids come up with too. So that is what I have for you. I hope that you guys have so many awesome things that you guys can add in your cart or just start implementing tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Jen. I always learn so much from you. So cool to see. We do have
Thank
some
you.
questions for you.
Okay.
Um, Let me scroll back up and make sure that we have it.
Okay.
Yeah, people are just saying what great ideas. Like love sports court, magnetic oven trays for the win. Um, Amanda's asking what that bear was called, and Aaron
Yeah.
asked Medi Teddy. Is that how you
Yes.
spell it? Medi?
Yeah. Yep, and I saw ARC put a link in there too. And I'll add links to the things I had in there for you guys when the next
Okay.
person is presenting.
And then what we'll do is we'll add the links onto the all access page and we'll email out the all access page to you guys as well. And Leandra says that she uses the key finders and she started using them for Easter egg hunts.
Yay.
Wonderful. Thank you
You
so
guys
much.
got some time. Get them now.
Yeah, right? Before it's very close to the time and we need it. Okay. I need to scoot back on over to my other ones. This is the part that I was not wanting to have happen because that is not working at all. There we go. Okay. So let me see if I can get back here. I apologize for this delay. It's not pulling it up, but we'll do it this way. I'll present in full screen from where we started. Adulthood. There we go. Okay, Rebecca, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. And I'm going to spotlight you for everyone as well. All right, ma'am. We're on you.
Right. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. I'm excited to talk about mobility and movement to orientation mobility specialists and anyone who's interested in it. Um, for me, about 6 years ago, I transitioned from working with the younger populations, early intervention, school-age children, young adults, to older adults. And one of the first challenges that I came across are the different types of multiple disabilities and, of course, fall risk and keeping older adults active. And so the first thing that I did is I started researching what type of movement activities exist that would be beneficial for the population that I was serving. And during my research, I came across many wonderful movement activities, but the one that caught my eye the most was Tai Chi, the martial arts form. And this is because not only does it help with balance and strength, but it also has evidence-based research proving that when Tai Chi is incorporated into a lifestyle, that it can help with mental health, decreasing depression and anxiety. And I thought, wow, a lot of the older adults that I have are going through the grief process of losing their vision. You know, when you used to be a driver and now you're a non-driver, you used to be able to do so many things, and now you're having to solicit assistance and advocate for yourself, and there's grief that is involved in that. Another healing benefit of Tai Chi is the breath work. And many of the individuals that I was working with not only had visual impairment, but also experienced conditions like COPD. And when I was reading about Tai Chi helping with specifically COPD, I mean, I can count the number of older adults that I had on my caseload with COPD. And I thought, well, this is just getting better and better. So mental health, physical health, and there were even things about Tai Chi helping with insomnia and struggling with sleep. And of course, I have veterans who didn't know when it was daytime, when it was nighttime. I had older seniors that were struggling with insomnia and on breathing machines and CPAPs and everything else. And another thing that was really interesting, you know, as I'm working with older adults, a lot of them are sedentary and seated quite often, or even in wheelchair bound. And Tai Chi was known to help with digestion and helping your organs work more smoothly. And so the more and more that I started learning about Tai Chi, the more I wanted to encourage the older adults that I was working with to go to Tai Chi classes. So I would search them out in my community, and I would refer my clients to the community providers. I also would send them to physical therapy for physical therapists that were offering that within their clinics, and recreational therapists. Well, unfortunately, I would have the individuals that I would refer and send out come back to me and say, Rebecca, I just can't go to these Tai Chi classes because I can't follow along. And I learned that many of the instructors were saying things like, take this hand and put it there, move your foot in this way. And people would go and they're like, I don't know which hand and where I'm supposed to move it. I can't see what you're talking about. And the truth is, a lot of movement activities require you to visually follow along or to mirror the image. So the next thing I started doing was contacting the providers, the therapists, the teachers, the instructors, and asking if I can come and co-treat. And that's something that we can all do right away, right? Anytime that you are able to work with another person, and I heard Jen Reeder earlier speak about how she had a yoga instructor come in and taught the class, but she was there to kind of assist. And so I did that for quite some time, and it turned out that I really liked Tai Chi as well. The more I learned about it, the more I really enjoyed it. And I found that trying to encourage other people to adapt their way of instructing was not always easy. I had some physical therapists who really took it on, and others who are like, I'm not going to adapt the way that I'm teaching just for one or two people with visual impairments. And so I decided to research different types of certification programs out there, and I came across a lot of different options. So I ended up signing up for an adaptive Tai Chi program, and I became certified myself. And so currently, it was 2022, I got certified in seated, standing, wheelchair, and walking Tai Chi. And I have developed Tai Chi, adaptive Tai Chi programs for individuals with visual impairment. And the entire course is instructed for anyone who wants to participate. And I have adapted the instructions so that it doesn't matter if you're completely blind or if you just have an eye condition that you could possibly lose sight in the future, or a traumatic brain injury where just connecting the dots visually isn't always working out. And so I've adapted this program where anybody can participate and follow along to the Tai Chi series. And one of my favorite things about teaching Tai Chi to individuals with visual impairment is that in this field, as providers, each one of us have caseloads that are extremely high. Many of us that are TVIs and CLVTs and COMs, it's because there was a lack of providers and our heart kept breaking. So it's like, okay, I'll add on that certification so my student's not going to go without O&M because the only provider has to drive from 2 states over, So we tend to give and give and give and give in this field. And what I found about Tai Chi is that when I'm instructing Tai Chi, I'm actually doing Tai Chi myself. And I am benefiting from the healing benefits of Tai Chi, So there are times that I might be having a difficult day and I might just stop where I'm at and have some Tai Chi flow in my life. And immediately my focus is better and my attitude is better and my physical well-being is better. I actually have some testimonies that I wanted to share with some of you guys today before my time is up. And I had one adult. He was one of my younger guys because, as you know, working with the adult population, a lot of times you're in the geriatric, those with macular degeneration and glaucoma. But this individual, he actually lost all of his vision. He had no light perception in both eyes because of a surgery that went wrong. And so it was a sudden loss, and he was only in his 50s. But this gentleman was also an amputee. He only had one arm that was his own, and the other one was a prosthetic. And one of the things that we learn in Tai Chi is the power of the mind. There's actually research showing that if you have limitations to your movement, which we often see in the adult population, we can imagine that the body part that doesn't actually move physically the way we want it to is moving. And so maybe only our our right arm is able to move up and our left arm isn't, but we can imagine with our mind that that arm is moving. And with the power of the mind, it's actually been proven that you get more stimulation in that area of your brain that operates those specific parts. And there's just so much to it. And one day, this individual, he came to class, and I was talking to him about the power of the mind and how if he had the limitation, or anybody, because when I'm teaching in group, I always say, if you are unable to physically move in the way that I'm directing, just move as far as you can, and then imagine, allow your mind to take you the rest of the way. And he called me when he got home from class, and he said, Rebecca, I have, since I lost my arm, it's always been a thought of it not being there. He goes, and for the first time after our Tai Chi class today, he's like, it was like I had both of my arms again. And it truly made me cry, because I kept reading about this in research and I kept seeing these trainings, but I had somebody who came to my class and I talked the talk, and he was able to walk the walk because he listened to that instruction, and it changed something inside of me. I knew that I had to continue Tai Chi. I had another individual who was wheelchair bound, and he had a stroke, and the left side he wasn't using, and physical therapy and different types of therapies were encouraging him to use that side that had less mobility, because if he didn't use it, he would lose his strength and everything. And it's true, but he had nothing to motivate him. Earlier, we heard about Leandra talking about the importance of motivation, right? You have to be intrinsically motivated to want to make improvements. Well, this individual, when I met him, his left arm was always on his power wheelchair. He could move it a few inches. But in Tai Chi, what you do on one side, you always do on the other side. And by the end of our Tai Chi training, he was able to lift his left arm up and put it over his head, which he hadn't done in over 15 years. He was in his 90s, but it was the first thing in a long time that motivated him to move. So I just love the fact that when somebody's motivated towards something and they're interested in something, that is how we get them to move. And it doesn't matter how old they are or what the movement is. You have to find what that person's interested in. And I'll tell you one more story, because I know I can go on forever. I had a gentleman that I was working with orientation mobility. And this particular gentleman, he lived alone in his apartment complex, and he did not want to travel outside of his home because he was afraid of how other people would view him with the long white cane. He thought one thing that he might get attacked. He was living in an inner city where there was violence, and he was afraid that somebody might take advantage of him, knowing that he had a visual impairment. And he would come and learn orientation mobility skills, but he would never practice it unless he was with me or if he went out with his daughter or something. And so we decided, and he used to come to my Tai Chi groups. I would have a Tai Chi group, and he would come, and he really enjoyed that. And I remember him one day saying, Rebecca, it really helps me with focus, because you are in Tai Chi, you are focusing on your breath with the movement. And so it's really easy to stay in the present, because it takes a lot of mental focus to breathe and move and synchronize those things. And so we were traveling to the park one day, and he knew this route in and out. He had all the landmarks, all the clues. He had this route down, but he was frustrated about something else that day, and he was just off. And I said, well, do you want to stop and do some Tai Chi right here on the sidewalk? You told me it helps you with focus. And he said, sure, why not? So he just dropped his long white cane. We did Tai Chi right there. And after we finished the flow, he picked up his long white cane and just driveway after driveway, street crossing after street crossing, he was just on it. And that's when I thought, wow, like all of these benefits of Tai Chi. And this particular veteran, he enjoyed doing Tai Chi outside so much by the park that day, he started going there and doing it. And he called me up one day and he said, Rebecca, have you ever seen Roadhouse? And I was like, yeah. And he said, you know how Patrick Swayze's in a field doing Tai Chi? I said, yeah. And he said, I went to the park today by myself and I imagined myself like Patrick Swayze. He goes, I wasn't worried about anybody else because when I was doing Tai Chi, I felt strong. I felt independent. And I felt like if anybody saw me, they aren't going to try to mess with me because and Tai Chi changed how he saw himself. And I could go on and on about the benefits of Tai Chi, but the truth is there are so many different movement activities out there that can motivate all age ranges. We just have to find out what motivates that person and get them engaged. And I also encourage you as teachers of movement to engage yourself in movement activities because we need, just like Cassie had herself dancing at the beginning, we need to move so we can stay fluid. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and I hope you all have a great night. Well, it's nighttime here. Jeremy, I have no idea what time it is for you.
You're not leaving, Miss. I have questions. Please put like an emoji in the chat if you are just like so enthralled. Can you please do a TED Talk, Rebecca? Please. This is amazing. Yes. So many people are saying, I don't know if you got to see all like the hearts floating up for you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you guys. You just bless me. You blessed me today. I worked so hard all day. It was such a busy day. So this has been refreshing.
This is so wonderful. But okay, so if somebody wanted, like me right now, I really want to get into Tai Chi. Like I have to do Tai Chi now. I don't know a thing about this. Where do I start?
Well, the where I started was just a simple web search. And I just put in like Tai Chi because I had found a research article about Tai Chi and all of its healing benefits. And I was comparing it to other movement activities like yoga and things that are very popular that you hear about. And then after that, I just Google searched. I just did a simple Google search on adaptive Tai Chi. I can't even remember, but what I can do is give you the information to put on your website of the program that I went through to get certified. There is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Guo, and he lives in Tennessee and Chattanooga, and he works at the university there, and he has developed a specific Tai Chi program called Adaptive Tai Chi using the 7 postures. And I went through his training program. I've been to Tennessee for recertifications. I do annual trainings. I've also tapped into other forms of Tai Chi. And so, yeah, it looks like, let me see if this is the one. Yes. So Adaptive Tai Chi International, it looks like you've already got the link in the chat right now. So that's Dr. Zeben. Yep, he is my Tai Chi master. And so that's where I got my certification from, and I have gone there. I actually go once a year to Tai Chi International, and I teach all of the people that are becoming certified how they can adapt their program for individuals with visual impairment. And everybody gets to wear blindfolds, and I guide everybody through the Tai Chi moves. And, it's not, the other thing I forgot to mention that I meant to is that because I'm an orientation mobility specialist, I'm always trying to tap in, how can we relay these things over? So I use landmarks and clues and spatial orientations, spatial awareness. I use orientation and mobility terminology, cardinal directions and everything else. And we're always teaching body parts and body movements. And, I incorporate orientation mobility into the adaptive Tai Chi for visually impaired program that I developed in every way that I possibly can, squaring off. There's so many things with orientation mobility that we do every day that you can really adapt any movement program to. So find out what they're motivated towards and then adapt the program. And you can start today by co-treating, right? You don't have to run and go get your certification right away. If you want to do something today, you can pull up some really great Tai Chi things on YouTube for seated Tai Chi and simple Tai Chi, a few moves, and then just learn to adapt that one move. And like there's a warm up that's called Heaven and Earth, and that particular one is used in many, many flows, and it's very easy to adapt, and you guys can always reach out to me. I can put my information also in the chat.
So Rebecca,
Yeah.
Jeremy here from Australia.
Yes.
Just asking because I'm always interested in anything that can assist people to recover from a near trip or a near fall. Do you think Tai Chi gives that sort of sense of improving your balance for older people?
Oh yeah. So that's the main reason that I actually adopted Tai Chi in the first place, because of its proven help with balance and strength. And so you can increase your balance and strength even when you're doing seated Tai Chi, because in seated Tai Chi, you're still working your core muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, a lot of your balance comes straight from your core. So you can be seated and working those core muscles and still increase your balance. And so there's a lot of research of how Tai Chi has helped decrease falls. And that's how it all began, looking for a program that helps to decrease falls.
That's fascinating. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a few more questions in the chat. Danny wants to know, how many minutes did you and your client participate in the Tai Chi during your O&M session?
So it's completely individualized. Whenever I create a treatment plan with one of my clients, we always focus on what's most important to them for that particular day. Some of my mobility sessions, we spend 15 minutes. Let's say I have the person for 90 minutes or 60 minutes, we might spend 15. And I might have another person who their priority is learning Tai Chi, and we might spend an entire hour on Tai Chi. And so one of the beautiful things about the adult population is that I always like to think of it as person-centered driven goals, right? When you are working in the education system and IEPs and all of these things, there's specific things that you have to meet for them to graduate school, and you want to support those goals, or their parents might have goals. When you're working with the adult population, that adult drives their goals. If they don't have a goal, we're not working on it, and whatever is most important to them. Now, if I notice that they like I was working with a college student who was really into Tai Chi, but he needed to learn his route to his classes before the next semester. And so I would say, well, let's be logical about how we spend our time here. And so if I don't think spending the entire hour on Tai Chi is beneficial for that individual, then I'm going to encourage them to work on what I think is most important, just like I'm sure all educators. But if I'm working with an older senior and they have a plethora of goals, like many of you, I'm a TVI and a CLVT. I teach assistive technology. I teach independent living and cooking and cleaning. I teach every skill that there is in visual impairment on a daily basis. And so whatever's most important to that individual, if it's checking their emails and using voiceover, or if it's decreasing falls, and if they, so individualized, it's completely individualized.
Makes complete sense. What I notice with so many of you guys talking in the chat, and Rebecca, with what you are saying, is you are bringing your, like, I know you started looking at Tai Chi as a way for orientation mobility, but the passion that you have for it goes way beyond your job. For you to go all the way and like help train the new participants every year. And then we saw Jax in the chat also talking about animal flow as well. And we saw Jen talking about yoga and bringing yoga into her classes. And what I'm seeing, right, when we look at the three areas of exceptional education, what you're doing is, because you have the systems in place, to be able to enjoy your life outside of work and not have to work until 7, 8 p.m. every single night because your paperwork systems are that way. You're allowed this opportunity to bring your full self into your classes and expand your learners' lives in that way. So it's not just reaching towards their IEP, but also expanding the fulfillment of their life. And that's what I heard all throughout everybody's part of your presentation. And like, how incredible. And that's very much the theme in the chat. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was so fun. And now I need to know how to do Tai Chi, is really what the thing is. I don't have enough movement activities in my life. So, you guys, are you glad that you came? I'm gonna remove your spotlight. You can go ahead and write in the chat. And this is the time where I want you to think about now, what's one star idea that you can take away and use? Like, what's one thing either you're going to look into? I want you to write it down, own it. And then as I keep talking, I also want you to put it in your scheduler, like put it in your Google Calendar that during your next planning period, you're actually going to take action because we can learn all we want, but nothing actually moves the needle except for you taking action. We've got a lot of thank yous here. Yes, we've got lots of ideas bouncing around. You might start to notice these new possibilities, and it might start to open your mind as to like what else is available? How else can I expand? When I provide an exceptional education, it's not about learning all of the things. Maybe we learn a variety of things and we pick and choose what's actually going to work and move the needle. So, how can you continue to discover the most cutting edge strategies with ease? Now, if you're here, this is pretty easy, right? You didn't have to go anywhere. You didn't have to fight traffic. You don't have to find a babysitter for your kids or your pets or lose your garden that you worked so hard for. That happened to me before. You can become a better teacher right here from the comfort of your own home with presenters all around the world. You can confidently skyrocket your learners' skills on a daily basis and be able to come home after work and still have energy for your loved ones and have a community of other orientation and mobility specialists so that way you can lean on them when things get tough and get that direct feedback. That's exactly what the International O&M Online Symposium does. And if you are looking in the chat, there's some ideas here. They're going to get medi-teddy. They're going to implement new things from this training. We can expand upon that. This is just 1 hour. If we've got 3 days together, think about that transformation. Think about how much like a Jax, like I want to get to know more about animal flow and I'm already starting to make those connections with you guys. That's what's available here. The O&M Symposium is your 3-day transformational experience. Now, if you're already coming, go ahead and put a note in the chat because we're going to be looking to you. We've got 21st century strategies that are practical, that you are able to actually implement. It's not just data. We curate an agenda specifically for that from multiple experts all around the world, flexible access, live and replays. And oh my gosh, Leandra, see everyone there is so fun. And a supportive professional development community. We have sessions that meet you where you are. Again, this agenda is incredible. Now, what I will say about the agenda this year is that the variety of topics is very wide. So if you are just looking for, like, I only want to learn about cane skills, this isn't the event for you. We're going to start off with a networking party, get to know our friends, and we go straight into Melody Brown, who did the gingerbread a few years ago. Her description is a little interesting. But what we're doing is we're looking at the actual traveling of going places and what technology you need along that whole way. And she's going to equate it to like a smash burger and like putting it all together. So that's really fun. do not show up hungry. She's actually cooking on camera. And then we're talking about therapeutic horticulture. And I'll be honest with you, at first I was like, I'm a city girl. I'm like, I have a brown thumb. I can't be trusted. I've seen this presentation and I cannot wait to start to bring plants in. I was completely converted. And then we're also talking about mindset, and we do have cane skills, structured discovery. We've got a lot of AI topics here. So if you're not used to AI, if you're a little scared of it, you're like, this stuff's gonna take over the planet. It's ruining the earth. Like, what are we actually doing here? Let's have an open dialogue and discussion. And then we have information about bioptic driving frameworks from United States and Australia. We're going into deaf blindness. We're talking about how people train in Croatia. And if you were there last time when we learned from people from Croatia, I was like mind blown. And then also Chinese practices, but this one is information that like you can use to help advocate for your learners' needs is what I've gotten from this presentation. Again, I've already seen all the presentations, at least the PowerPoints, and they talk about the history of how O&M moved to China, which is really cool to know, but also like how the government actually is structured. And what I think is really cool about this one is I want to look to see like how can I use information to advocate for my learners and garner more of the leg up that I need. And then we're ending with Kim and Kai Owens talking all about how this valedictorian kid who went on to be summa cum laude at his university, like, how does he do it? Those are the conversations that we are having. They are not your typical, like, two-step, this cane tip is going to do this. These are expanded conversations because that is where our profession is going. And you are not learning alone. We have a full app. We are already chatting in there. If you are not already in our app, it's just the exceptional educators. If you are already in the symposium, come and chat in that channel because we're starting to do introductions and more fun stuff later. And if you want the practical details, like it's super fun, we have dance parties, we have we have a music playlist, that's cool. But like, let's get real to the brass tacks. We stay in one Zoom room for 3 days all together. So you're not having to have that discussion of like, oh, what session did you go to? You all went to that same session. We can skip the small talk and go really deep. What did you get from this? How are you actually going to apply it? Oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to apply it this way. And then you come back into the app, you DM each other, say, how did that go? That's exactly what we want. Can't make it live? A-okay. We've got our online campus and our app. You can access everything from everywhere. You can have it on your back pocket. You can have it on your desktop. You also have all of the replays and the community. Super easy. Yes, we've got your workbook too. Your replays are available until February 19th, and CEUs are available. We're accredited through ACVREP. But I know that we're about to talk money here, and I'm not gonna make it like, I'm not gonna downplay it. This is a conference that is an investment. And I want you to know that your money is backed here. If you can't come, you let us know and we will refund you. Oh, it is at the exact time as the ATIA conference. That is true. But we do have replays. So there you go, Kelly. For regular registration, it's $297 this year. Full-time university students are $127. If you live in a developing country or even like Eastern Europe, you guys aren't because they're sleeping. But my replay people, it's $10 or pay as you can. I completely understand that our USD amount and the amount that other people are paid around the world is not the same. But this regular registration closes next Thursday. So if you need information from us, you need a flyer, you need an agenda, we will make sure that you get that. We do accept purchase orders. I don't really care about the purchase order. You don't have to send me a purchase order. Just sign up through the purchase order link. We'll put that in the chat in just a second. And then know that the registrant is actually the one responsible for payment. So just make sure your people get the payment to us within that 30-day window. It's a typical 30-day window. I feel like I've already talked a lot, but there's more. I want to make sure that we support you in your learning. So we've got a learning support bundle, which includes your extended replay access, digital note-taking resources, which is your workbook. You have 5 on-demand bonus presentations that we didn't even talk about today, and 18 CEUs available. That's more than you need for a few years if you are ACV REP accredited. We also want to support your workflow. So you have these 3 extra weeks to watch the replay, and you have your digital notebook for all of your note-taking needs and your community support bundle. This is where we're going to support you in connecting with your community. Your networking parties are absolutely free. You have your online space with your O&M specialists. That community aspect also accessible via desktop and app, and continued access beyond these live dates. We want to make sure that you feel like you are there, whether or not you actually are there. And for those of you guys who are like, yes, I either have already joined or I am ready, we have a fast action bonus for you. This was talked about a little bit in our professional Facebook group that people were really needing an easy data collection system. So we re-updated it again. And I want to offer that to you if you join by tomorrow night, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody who has joined the symposium up until that time will get my updated data collection system. If you know me, I am not taking data for long periods of time. I want it done as soon as I get in my car because I have to go. How many people attended last year? We had 561. We've had almost $100 million cut out of special education. So I don't expect that many this year. However, we have over 350 people registered already, which is incredible, right? Such dedication. So when you join before 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, then you'll get my easy data collection system. So all in total, it's $197 value with the live symposium, the learning support, the workflow support, and the community support. And if you join by today, you'll get the easy data collection system. If you have any more questions about the symposium, please feel free to ask. I'll stay online for a few minutes, and I want to welcome you into the O&M Symposium. All you have to do, Ark will put the link in the chat to our checkout page. Come join us. It's going to be so much fun. It's January 28th through the 30th. I love how I made an entire presentation. I've been working on this for weeks and did not put that detail in there at all. We are meeting live January 28th through 30th. It's from 12 p.m. Eastern, somewhere around there, 12 p.m. Eastern to like 7 p.m. Eastern. There is an hour-long break, so that way you can actually have lunch. And for our people in Australia, I got you. We know that you are watching it together as replays later. That's something really fun that our Australian group loves to do. I encourage everybody to watch it together with their friends, right? You don't have to go somewhere and travel. This all started because I had 2 kids in 19 months. I'm not gonna lie. Not recommended, not recommended. But that's how my life went. And I couldn't leave. And my friend was going to a conference overseas. And I was like, well, the only people that suffer are my students. Like, we have the internet. Why can't we just figure this out? And then we did. And we had 300 people join that first year. And it has just gotten bigger and bigger and better and better. And this year is going to be the best yet. The conversations are so forward. They are so on the cutting edge. And the community aspect, when I tell you that I text these people, our O&M Symposium Planning Committee, if I'm having a bad day or something's going wrong, I have friends that I can text. If I'm like, I don't know, is this right? Like, my teacher won't allow a Lily Nielsen in there. Like, what can I do? Instant feedback. Okay, I got you. Here we go. And sometimes that's what you need. You need that feedback, you need that support, and this is what we're here for. Someone's asking about the PowerPoint from tonight's talk. Yes, I'll take the pictures of the children out of it and then I'll make sure that it gets uploaded for you guys. And Patty's asking for the CEU form. Great. So if you guys have any questions about the symposium, I'm here. I'm happy to answer them for you. It's a really, really fun time. And for those of you guys who are in it, know that we have our inside jokes and we have so much fun together. But thank you, and I will see you all soon. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.